Hello. As you can see, I'm not out walking at the moment. I'm actually in my rather messy office, but I would like to talk about walking, and especially long walks and multi-day walks in the mountains. Because this summer we went on our first multi-day walk in the mountains. It was in the Pyrenees, and we were walking for 3 days. And in the process of planning that trip and actually doing it, I think I learned a few things that might be useful for others. So if you are planning your first long walk or your first multi-day walk, or if you don't have too much experience with these things, this video will possibly be quite helpful for you. So I've got actually 11 points put up on the screen here. So I'm gonna go through them one by one, and hopefully it's not gonna take too long and be too boring. First of all, you have to decide where to walk. And I assume if you are planning to do a longer walk, you have an idea of where you want to go. But you may not know exactly what it's like there, or if it's actually suitable for your skills or your fitness level or whatever, because the walks can differ greatly, and some are definitely more difficult than others. But an excellent resource for doing this very basic first research is just using YouTube, as you are watching right now, because there is a good chance that someone has made a film about the stretch you're going to walk, the mountain range, maybe exactly where you're going to walk, or maybe somewhere nearby or something similar. And since you actually can view the area, and during those films you can get a fair idea of what it's like and how hard it is and how difficult it is and what it looks like. So that's the first tip. But when you've actually done that, then you come to the important things: how to go through with it and what to do along the way. And the most important thing of all is to talk to people, because people who have been walking there before, they have knowledge that you don't have, and they may have up-to-date knowledge about maybe it's not possible to walk in that area right now, or maybe it's the wrong time of year, or maybe it's the perfect time. Maybe it's too easy. Maybe it's easy. Maybe it's too difficult. They will be able to provide you with some information about the walk, but there is a big but with regard to listening to other people. In my experience, when it comes to judging distances and how long it takes to walk from one point to the other, listening to people can be a very, very bad idea, because they are probably not going to be like you. Maybe they are walking alone, you are walking with your family. Maybe you are walking in a group. Yeah, maybe you are walking with kids, and they are not. Maybe they are doing these trips many times a year. Maybe they know the area well. Maybe they walk much faster than you. So, in my experience, it always takes longer than people say. Maybe it is because we walk slowly. Maybe it's because we like to take breaks along the way and enjoy the surroundings and the nature. Maybe other people just walk quickly. But anyway, you will have to be careful when listening to what people say regarding distances and the amount of time you need. Use maps. Look at it carefully. Is there a lot of up and downs? Is there a lot of elevation you have to gain along the way? Are there difficult parts that will take longer? Well, you can use what people say as a guidance, but be aware that it might take much longer. Like on the second day of our walk this summer, we were told we talked to people beforehand. I checked with apps like Komoot, and we talked to people right before we were gonna walk, and there was all estimates between sort of normally 5-6 hours, 5-6-7 hours, but it actually took us 10 hours, and those extra 3 hours can make quite a bit of difference when you're out walking. So be careful with listening to people with regard to distances. I checked different apps beforehand and it said it should take maybe 5, 6, 7 hours. And we asked the Malmö where we were last night how long it would take to walk over here to Lia. No, they said it's a fairly long walk, 5-6 hours, they said. Sort of. It took us 10 hours to walk this distance. The third point is regarding clouds and weather. Because even though it's in the middle of summer and the weather is mostly nice, it can change very, very quickly. So during just a few days you can experience any type of weather. So be prepared. Put clothes in the backpack that prepares you for most kinds of weather. And even though it's probably going to be warm, put warm clothes in the backpack in case you need it. This is definitely important. And another little point about clothes. Wearing cotton is not the best idea because that just attracts water and you start sweating and your t-shirts and your shirts will get wet quickly and cotton t-shirts and stuff, they will probably just stay wet and they could make you cold and uncomfortable. So try and get some sort of sports t-shirt, some from the synthetic fibers are actually better for this kind of things. I picked up something like this from a brand called Endurance. These are t-shirts. They are 100% synthetic fibers, but they were excellent and it didn't cost me much. I don't remember exactly what they cost, but I bought them at a sort of sport outlet and they were less than 20 euros a piece, I think. So it is well worth getting some clothes that are meant for this kind of long this kind of walking and for sportswear. The fourth point on the list is shoes. You don't need the most expensive shoes or the most fancy shoes or whatever. You just need shoes that won't hurt you. And luckily I learned this before we left this summer, because my plan was to wear the sneakers some sneakers I often wear. But a couple of months before this trip, we went on another long walk. There was sort of a 10-hour day walk. And I didn't know this would happen, but my feet were hurting so badly that it wasn't much fun walking for the last 2 or 3 hours of that walk. So I quickly realized that those shoes were not coming on a 3-day walk in the mountains. So I invested in some mountain boots, but some walking boots. And I think that's one of the most important things. If your feet start to hurt already on the first day, it's going to be a very uncomfortable walk. So make sure you have shoes that don't hurt you when you wear them for a long time. And the fifth point on the list is water. There is absolutely nothing more important than water when you're out walking. If you run out of water and can't refill your water bottles, you might be in big trouble. But the problem with water is that water is heavy, and carrying enough water for a whole day might be a bit heavier than you would like to carry. So check the maps carefully. Talk to people. Ask people, are there water sources along the route you are going? Are there rivers? Are there streams? Are there lakes? You will be able to find these on normal maps, and also ask if there's actually water in the streams, because sometimes they might dry out in summer. But if there are water along the way, carry a water filter, because even though it's often safe to drink the water straight from a stream or a river, it may not be, because you never know what's upstream, what's maybe 50 meters above you in that stream. It may not be too healthy. So my recommendation is to filter your water no matter what. You may also not have a stream to fill your water bottle from. You might have just a small lake, or if you're really unlucky, you might only have some stagnant water. That might be the only option. Let's hope not, but possibly it could be, and a water filter might be what saves the day. A water filter doesn't weigh much, and it doesn't cost too much either, so it's definitely worth it. And I used just this, a soft flask, Salomon. It's a soft flask with a filter tip. Filter the water into your water bottles that you have in your backpack, and you will probably be able to drink safe water all along the way. The sixth point is that you will probably get sore muscles, and your body might ache, or you might get blisters and different things. So start with sore muscles, because at least what I experienced in the summer after carrying a backpack for 8 hours, 10 hours, my shoulders were very sore when we got to the refuge. Especially those muscles up here had stiffened up and they were aching. So what I did each night, I used tiger balm, or you can use whatever other ointment or remedy that has the same kind of effect, that loosens up stiff and sore muscles. But I put that on before bed each night, and it helps. It loosens up the muscles and it doesn't hurt that badly in the morning, so you're ready for another day's walking. Another thing that is not so good at repairing afterwards are blisters and chafing. If you are prone to getting blisters, so if you think there's a possibility you might get blisters somewhere, be preventive and put some tape on that particular area. And there are different options. I think what I used was something called NextCare Active Tape. I put it on my heels just to prevent it from getting blisters. And there's another option that is often recommended. I think it's called Leukotape. That is very good for these things, but just ask at your local pharmacy for some tape you can put on to prevent blisters. Because if you get blisters, it's not gonna make the walk any nicer. And another thing that can be very painful is chafing as well. If you are prone to chafing, you'll know if you've been walking. If you're walking long day walks, and you might get chafing somewhere, but and then you want to take measures before you go out. And the best solution that I found, and it works, and it's very simple, is just Vaseline. Put a lot of Vaseline on the areas where you normally develop chafing to prevent it from happening, and it is very effective. But just remember to put on quite a lot more. Put on more than you think is necessary. It works. The next point is also quite an important point. Bring an emergency medical kit, because you never know when you're gonna need that. I didn't think we were gonna need it, but we brought it. But normally you don't need things like that. You just have it just in case. But this time we actually needed to use it, because Martina, she slipped on some roots or a rock or something, and when she landed, she fell and she landed. She took her hand and grabbed somewhere, and it was just on a branch or on a twig on a branch, and that made a deep wound in her hand. And without any kind of sort of disinfectant and bandages and those kinds of things, we might have had to abandon the trip. But luckily we had what was needed, and we managed to get it done, and a doctor looked at it when we got back home, and things worked out well in the end. So bring an emergency medical kit. It is definitely worth it, and it can be very, very important. Another thing to bring is a power bank, because you will probably want to take photos. You might want to do some filming. You might have other things you want to recharge, and for a multi-day walk in the mountains, you probably won't have access to any electricity. And even though we stayed at refuges, it was huts in the mountains there, we found that we couldn't really recharge any of our gear there. So without a power bank, we wouldn't have any battery on our phones or anything after the first day. But I brought a power bank like this. It's a 20,000 milliamp per hour. I think that's what MAH stands for. It's what's the brand name here? I don't know. Ultimag, I think it's called. It doesn't really matter what it's called. It's for the 20,000 milliamp power bank. That was enough for 3 days. For my use, for 3 days walking. But it may not be enough for you. Maybe you need to bring 2, or maybe you can, or maybe even less. It depends what you want to do. I was filming and using my phone a lot for that, and I needed to recharge that. And I think also the kids recharged their phones a bit as well. So a 20,000 milliamps should normally be enough for 2 or 3 days walk. The 10th point on my list is, it says bring snacks. And that might be very obvious, because of course you want to bring something. But even if you are staying in refuges, and you will get dinner there, and you will get breakfast, and they might even make you a packed lunch, depends on what deal you got and what places you are staying at. But even if you are getting those meals and the food, you will be low on energy at some points along the way. So put a fair few snacks in your backpack. They can be energy bars, or biscuits, or maybe some gummy bears, or anything that tastes good, that has a lot of energy, that can give you a quick boost when you need it. And also, you may, if you run really low on energy at some point, you may not find water the most attractive thing to drink either. So I always put, when I'm walking like this, I put just a small bottle of Coke in the bottom of the backpack, just in case I really need an extra boost. Maybe you want something else to drink, maybe you want to put something else there, but that's what I do. And this summer we also, because it's gonna be, in the summer it's gonna be warm, so we didn't want to bring any chocolates or anything. In winter time I might bring chocolates because that's something I like, but in summer when it's gonna be warm, you don't want to have the backpack full of melted chocolate. So biscuits, that's what we brought in. That was biscuits and energy bars, and that was very, very nice. Sometimes along the way when we needed a little boost. And the last point on the list, which I think is quite important, is that you don't need a lot of new gear. You don't need, if you are planning a trip like this, you're planning to walk in the mountains for several days, it doesn't have to cost you a fortune. Because use the backpack you've got. Basically use what you have. Just make a few small investments if you don't have the proper clothes, because it is important to have some appropriate clothing and definitely appropriate shoes. But except for that, you don't need the newest of everything. What you have probably works. The backpack I used, I've had for God knows how many years, but it was the same backpack that I used for interrailing around Europe twice in the mid-90s. So the backpack is not the latest, it's not the newest, it's probably not the lightest, but the thing is, it works. And I can't afford to buy everything new to go out and enjoy nature. So the important thing is use what you got as long as it works, and get out there and enjoy walking in the mountains, enjoy nature, enjoy the surroundings. That's all I had for now. So if you have watched this far, please subscribe to the channel. And if you haven't watched the video from our trip in the Pyrenees in summer, I will put a link in the comments below. So get out there and enjoy. See you next time. Bye.